Unit is on statistics, and let's begin our first lesson. We're going to take a look at measures of central tendency. That means, like, if you're given a set of data, what is the average of all the data? What's happening in the middle of all your data? So that kind of speaks to, especially if you're studying like your team, like a basketball team or a football or baseball or some sort of sport, or you're studying a group of students, like a group of students or something like that. You want to know what's your average student, your average player, what are they scoring, and that sort of thing. Those are measures of center, and there's three ways to do it. One is to find the mean, which is you add up all the data, all of the numbers, you add them up, and then you divide by how many numbers you're adding. So that's called the number of values, or another way to say it is we call that the count. How many people are on your team? How many students are at the school? All right, things like that. All right, the median is the number in the middle of the data set. Now, to do a median, you have to have all of the numbers in order from least to greatest. If you don't order them, middle has no value with respect to the median. I want the middle value, so it must be in an ordered set. All right, so I'll show you how to do that. And then the mode is the value that occurs most often. It's like a popularity contest, which number is the most frequent. And a mode is a good measure of center for things like perhaps you own a clothing store and you want to know what is the most popular item of clothing, because then you want to order that again. You want to keep that one stocked on your shelves because people want to buy it. Or what's the most popular video game? You want to make sure that you have plenty of those available for all of your gamers. So you want to know the mode of your sales. What is the most frequent item purchased? All right, median is often used for house values. So they'll say the median home price for Union City, for instance, and I don't know what it is, but they might say it's $550,000. So they look at all the homes that have sold that month, they make an ordered list, and they find the one right in the middle. So some homes were sold for a less price, some sold for more, but the one right in the middle, let's say it's $550,000. And a mean is sort of the average of all the numbers. And it's oftentimes the mean and the median are very close to each other, but sometimes they're not. Sometimes all three are very close to each other, and other times they're not. So we'll talk about in a future lesson which one do you choose to be your measure of center. But right now we just need to know how to do it. All right, so I've just got a couple of examples. So my first data set is going to consist of these values. Now, to do this assignment, you're going to need a calculator. So make sure to pause the video if you don't have a calculator handy and get a calculator ready. All right, so here is my list of numbers, and we're going to calculate all three measures of center. So the numbers are 10, 13, 11, 15, 8, 14, 7, 19, and 12. Now, I don't know what these numbers represent, but we could come up with a word problem perhaps to model this. These could be ages of people who belong to a youth center. So some young people, maybe the 19-year-old is taking on some leadership roles. And the younger members are just getting started in the youth center. But these are some ages of people who are involved with it. Maybe that's what it is. Could be a lot of different things. Okay, so here's some data. And what we're going to do is calculate the mean, median, and mode. So we'll start with the mean. All right, to do the mean, we have to have the sum of all the numbers, and then we divide that by the count. So it's a ratio. So on the top, I'm literally going to just add all those numbers up. So for demonstration purposes, I'm going to show the method in the first example. So just adding these up. The order doesn't matter when we're adding. All right, make sure I have them all. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't want to forget something. And then the count is 9. All right, so on your calculators, let's add all that up. So start with the numerator. Okay, so I've got all the digits on there, and I'm getting a total of 109. And I'm dividing by 9 numbers. Okay, so my calculator now that I've had equals, I hit divide by 9 numbers. And so my calculator keeps everything in fraction form. I can convert it using the S to D button. This switches it to decimal mode. So if I just touch that, I can see that my average is 12.1, continuing with ones. And typically we just pick off the tenths place. So this is about 12.1. So it's about 12.1. And if you look at these numbers, does that sound like a reasonable value? 7's the smallest, the biggest is 19, so it would be somewhere in the middle of that. So 12.1 is probably pretty close. We have a lot of numbers near 12, 12, 15, 13, 11, 10, so it sounds pretty reasonable. Okay, all right, and then let's do the median. All right, to do the median, I need an ordered list. So now I'm going to take all these numbers and put them into order. So I start with the least, which is 7. And the next one, so I can kind of check it off to make sure I've got it. Number 10 is next. And then, oh, I already forgot, 8. So put 8 next. And then 10, yes. Okay, and then I can see 11, and there's a 12. And then I have it's 11 and 12, and then I have a 13, a 14, and a 15. 13, 14, 15, and then the only number I haven't written is 19. I'm going to double check by just counting and making sure I have the 9 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So just make sure I have them all. All right, so here's my ordered list. Now, since I have 9, there's going to be a number in the middle. In an odd set, you will have a number directly in the middle. So if you just kind of, cross off, just kind of head towards the middle. I'm going to cross off pairs until I get to the middle number. 15 and 8, 14 and 10, 13 and 11, and that leaves me with 12 in the middle. So 12 is my median number. So the median is 12. Okay, so far I have a mean of 12.1 and a median of 12. You can see they're very close together in this set. All right, and then finally we're going to do a mode. And then the mode is going to be the most popular number. So I take a look at my set of numbers, and this one, the ordered set's usually the easiest to look at. And I see, do I have any numbers that are repeated or occur more than once? And that doesn't happen. There are no repetitions. That means there's nothing that's the most popular, the most frequently occurring number. So therefore, I have no mode. All right, you have to have some repetition in a number to have a mode number, and none of these are repeating, therefore no mode. All right, so those are the calculations, and we are done. All right, so let's do one more example. The thing that I'm going to change, well, I'll have a different number set, but I'm also going to have an even count this time. We had an odd count before. This time I'll have an even, show you the difference, especially when it comes to a median. So my number set is 20, 17, 17, 25, 20, and 21. All right, this could be something like you've sold 20 blouses, 17 pairs of pants of one style, and etc. So this could be like an inventory count or something like that. All right, so let's go ahead and start with our mean. So we're going to add all these up. So we're going to do the sum divided by the count. So I'll just add those on my calculator. Okay, I've got all the digits. I get 120. And on my count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I have 6 numbers, so 6. And then I do the division, and 6 does go into 120 very nicely, so that's equal to 20. And so I'm saying my average number is about 20. And these three are really close to that. These are below 20, this one's above 20, so perhaps that's a pretty reasonable number. All right, next let's do our median. Median is the middle number. To do that, I need an ordered list, so I'm going to put these all in order. The lowest is 17, and then I have that twice. Then comes 20 twice. Then there's 21, and finally 25. I double check that I have all the digits, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers, so I've got everything. And the median is the one in the middle. So again, if I start crossing off until I get to the middle, my pairs, I notice that I have 2 numbers in the middle. So when that occurs, what you're going to do is the average of the middle. So if so to get the median, I take the average of those 2 numbers. In other words, it's the mean of the middle. So I'm going to do 20 plus 20, and then I divide by 2. Now, since these are the same, my average is going to be 20. But if they were 2 different numbers in the middle, this would result in something in the number that is right in the middle of those 2. So that's what I'm looking at, is what's the number between 20 and 20 right in the middle. Okay, well this answer will be 20. This is 40 over 2, and that's equal to 20. All right, so my median's 20, my mean is 20. All right, as I said, sometimes that happens, and sometimes they're very different. So in this case, in both examples I've done, we've got the mean and medians that are very close together. Now let's take a look at the mode. All right, the mode is the number that is the most popular, the one that occurs the most frequently. If I look at this list, I do have some repetitions. I have 17 twice and 20 twice. And since they both occur twice, they are both, then I have, the mode is, I have 2 different modes. I have a mode of 17 and a mode of 20. So I have 2 different modes. Okay, so you can have more than one mode if more than one number repeats the most. Okay, now if I had another mode, let's say I had 25 3 times, then even though these are repeated, I wouldn't count them in the mode. I would pick 25 because it happens the most. It has 3 repetitions. So but if I have a tie for first place, then they both become the mode values. Okay, so ties for the most, they both are modes. All right, so that's the basics of mean, median, and mode. I'm going to throw you a couple analysis questions. Statisticians like to play with the numbers and use it for predicting and say, what if we did this to the number set and that sort of thing. So we're going to play a little bit with that. We're going to we're going to solve for x. And what I'm going to do is give you a list of numbers, which is incomplete. There'll be a missing number. So in my first data set, I have a median. I will tell you that the median number, the one in the middle, is 14. And here is my list of numbers: 9, 10, 12, x, 20, and 25. All right, so here's my list of numbers. X is right there, and I need to know its value, such that my median is 14. Now, if that's the number in the middle, then my median is 14. So if I have an odd count and I have this right in the middle, then I'm good to go. That'll be a 14. But let's check. How many numbers do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have an even count. So that means there will be 2 middle numbers. All right, so I'm going to just check them off, 9 and 25, 10 and 20. These 2 are the ones in the middle. So as I showed you in the previous example, when you have 2 numbers in the middle, then I need a number such that I need to find the average of the 2 numbers in such a way that 14 is between them. 14 has to be the middle of these 2 numbers. So to figure that out, you can perhaps use some mental math and figure out what this number has to be for 14 to be in the middle of it. Or you can use some algebra. And so here's the algebra that I would use. I would add these 2, so I'd set it up where 12 plus x, and I divide by 2, so that's how I find the average. And then that has to be equal to 14. So this becomes an algebra problem I can solve. All right, so to solve this, I'll multiply both sides by 2. Remember, it's sort of a cross product here. So multiply by 2 on the left, multiply the right side by 2. The 2's cancel, leaving me 12 plus x. And on the right side, I have 14 times 2, which is 28. Subtract 12 from both sides. And I get x equals 16. Did you guess that? 14 is in the middle of 12 and 16. That's my value of x. I'm going to give you one more example. So since I kind of did A here, I'll do B over here. All right, so I'll give you the mean is 38, and my set of numbers is 42, and 36, 23, 47, 34, and x. So what would x have to be so that the average of these numbers, or the mean of these numbers, was 38? So again, I'm going to set up an algebra problem. To get a mean, I have to add all these up and then divide by the count. So I'm going to do that. 42 plus 36 plus 23 plus 47 plus 34 plus x. 42 plus 36 plus 23 plus 47 plus 34 plus x. And if I divide that by the count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, divide that by the count, that number should be equal to 38. Okay, so to solve this, I'm going to multiply both sides by the denominator of 6. So let me just put this in parentheses. So I'm going to do 6 times the left side and 6 times the right. On the left side, the 6's will cancel. They divide to 1. And so I really just have this sum on top. The right side is 38 times 6. So let me simplify. On the left side, I'm going to add all these digits. Let's see, 42 plus 36 plus 23 plus 47 plus 34. Okay, so I'm adding up these 5 numbers here, and they add up to 182. So I have 182 plus x. On this left side, remember the 6's canceled. On the right side, I have 38 times 6. Let me get the answer to that. It's 228. Oops, and my bad, that's supposed to be an x. Now subtract 182 from both sides, and that gives us x equals, so I'm going to subtract 182, and that leaves me with 46. So I would need x to be the value of 46 in order for all of these numbers to get a mean of 38. And that's the idea. Okay? All right, time for you to practice.